Hello friends, and a very warm welcome back to TerraVoy. You've likely heard of Little Boy, the atomic bomb that reduced Hiroshima to ashes. You might also know about Castle Bravo, the most powerful nuclear weapon ever tested by the United States. But today we are talking about a colossal apocalyptic creation that dwarfs them all. An absolute monster rightfully crowned as the emperor of all bombs. Engineered by the Soviet Union, it was officially designated RDS-220. But the world knows it by a far more terrifying name, the Tsar Bomba. The Soviets affectionately called it Big Ivan. What you are seeing on your screen right now is the actual recently declassified footage of its detonation in 1961. Unleashing an unfathomable 50 megatons of energy, the Tsar Bomba remains the most powerful and terrifying explosion ever created by human hands in the history of our world. To put that into perspective, it was 3,800 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. If this were dropped on a populated city, the devastation would be entirely beyond human comprehension. Shockingly, if not for a single last-minute decision, this bomb would have been twice as powerful. The lead scientist who created it was so horrified by his own invention that he dedicated the rest of his life to fighting against the nuclear arms race. This is the chilling, lesser-known story behind the Tsar Bomba. Let's rewind to the beginning, the late 1950s. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a fierce, high-stakes nuclear arms race. However, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev was acutely aware that the Americans were pulling ahead. During this time, the intense hostility between the two superpowers had briefly cooled, as Khrushchev and US President Dwight D. Eisenhower began peaceful negotiations. In 1961, both sides even agreed to a voluntary global moratorium on nuclear testing. The world finally breathed a sigh of relief, hoping a peaceful era was on the horizon. In May 1960, world leaders gathered in Paris with the primary goal of officially signing a nuclear test ban treaty. Both leaders understood the world-ending consequences of a nuclear war. But, just days before this historic summit, disaster struck. The Soviets shot down an American U-2 spy plane deep inside their airspace. The US initially lied, claiming it was a weather plane that had strayed off course. However, the Soviet government produced undeniable proof that it was a CIA espionage aircraft, and the captured pilot confessed. Caught in a blatant lie, the Eisenhower administration was deeply humiliated on the world stage. At the very start of the Paris summit, Khrushchev furiously demanded a public apology from the US president. When Eisenhower refused, the outraged Soviet leader stormed out, completely shattering any hopes for a peace treaty. Now, Khrushchev was determined to show America his true power. He was naturally a stubborn, short-tempered and aggressive leader. Years prior, he had infamously threatened the West, declaring, "History is on our side. We will bury you." Now he had the perfect opportunity to turn those words into action. In 1961, John F. Kennedy became the new president of the United States. Khrushchev viewed Kennedy as an inexperienced and weak young man. Seeing this as the ultimate moment to project Soviet military dominance, he summoned all the top-secret nuclear scientists to the Kremlin. He ordered them to tear up the test ban agreement and immediately resume building nuclear weapons. Among these scientists was Andrei Sakharov, the most brilliant physicist in the Soviet Union. He is credited with single-handedly designing the Russian hydrogen bomb without any American blueprints, earning him the title Father of the Soviet hydrogen bomb. But Sakharov was deeply troubled by this renewed arms race. He had calculated exactly how lethal these tests were. Even if no one was at the blast site, the radioactive fallout would spread across the globe, causing cancers and genetic mutations that he estimated would prematurely kill over 600,000 people in the future. Driven by his conscience, he pleaded with Khrushchev to stop this impending madness. But the Soviet leader was furious. He silenced Sakharov, harshly telling him, "Leave politics to us. Don't try to teach us our jobs." Khrushchev asked his scientists just how big of a bomb they could build. At that time, the largest bomb in the world was only 15 megatons. For context, all the explosives used throughout the entirety of World War II, including both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs, totaled just 3 megatons. But out of nowhere, someone suggested the unthinkable. Why not build a 100-megaton bomb? 100 megatons. It was an idea bordering on sheer insanity. Everyone knew a blast that massive would create radioactive clouds that could threaten Moscow itself. But Khrushchev only cared about the psychological terror it would inflict on America. He instantly approved the project. Though Sakharov despised the project, his unmatched brilliance meant he was forced to lead it. Khrushchev gave them an impossibly tight deadline, just 16 weeks. There was absolutely no time for deep mathematical analysis or preliminary testing. The scientists had to build this Leviathan, relying almost entirely on guesswork and estimates. In October 1961, Khrushchev shocked the world by announcing the Soviet Union's withdrawal from the nuclear treaty. The entire globe watched in terror. The Kennedy administration condemned it as a senseless act of nuclear terrorism. The United Nations pleaded with him to stop, but Khrushchev ignored them all. By late October, the Tsar Bomba was ready. Its size was staggering. It was as long as a school bus and weighed a massive 25 tons. It was so enormous that a giant bomber plane had to be specially heavily modified just to carry it. The truth was, this bomb had zero practical military value. A plane carrying that much weight had to fly so slowly that enemy anti-aircraft fire could easily shoot it down. Furthermore, it was far too massive to be fitted onto any missile. This wasn't a weapon of war. It was an arrogant tool of Soviet propaganda. Sakharov was still haunted by the thought of the innocent lives that would be lost to the fallout. So at the very last minute, he made a crucial alteration to the bomb's design. He proposed replacing the uranium tamper with a lead one, specifically to drastically reduce the deadly radioactive emissions. This modification slashed the bomb's yield in half, from 100 megatons down to 50. Surprisingly, Khrushchev agreed to the change. The chosen test site was the desolate Arctic island of Novaya Zemlya. Engineers calculated that the pilots dropping the bomb only had a 50% chance of survival. To give the aircraft time to escape to a safe distance, a gigantic parachute weighing nearly a ton was attached to the bomb to slow its descent. At 11:32 a.m. Moscow time, the moment that darkened history arrived, the bomb was released. It is still believed today that unlike standard two-stage hydrogen bombs, the Tsar Bomba utilized a terrifying three-stage design. When it detonated, the flash of light was so blinding it could be seen from 1,000 kilometers away, and the intense glare lasted for more than a minute. The heat at the epicenter was 5 times hotter than the core of the sun. A mammoth fireball, 5 kilometers wide, expanded in the sky. Everything within a 35-kilometer radius, trees, rocks, structures, was instantly vaporized into nothingness. The resulting apocalyptic mushroom cloud pierced the atmosphere, reaching a staggering height of 64 kilometers. That is more than 7 times the height of Mount Everest. The shockwave from the blast was so immensely powerful that it circled the entire Earth 3 separate times. The aircraft that dropped it, despite being 115 kilometers away, was slammed by the shockwave and instantly plunged a full kilometer out of the sky. Miraculously, the pilots managed to regain control and survive. 1,000 kilometers away in Finland, the shockwave shattered the glass windows of houses. Fortunately, the blast didn't directly kill anyone due to the remote location. But had this been dropped on a city like New York, even the concrete and steel skyscrapers would have evaporated in milliseconds. The radioactive dust released swept through the atmosphere for years. Even today, the glaciers in that region hold dangerously high levels of radiation, and indigenous populations nearby suffered from severe health issues and birth defects. Following this terrifying display of destruction, Andrei Sakharov became the world's most prominent critic of the nuclear arms race. Recognizing his immense sacrifices for global peace, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1975. Bowing to immense global pressure, the US and the Soviet Union finally signed the Limited Test Ban Treaty in 1963, banning nuclear tests in the atmosphere. While some argue the Tsar Bomba was just an act of political madness, recently declassified documents revealed that the United States was planning something far worse. American physicist Edward Teller had actually proposed building a 10,000 megaton bomb. That would have been 670,000 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. For the sake of all humanity, we must consider ourselves incredibly lucky that such a weapon remained only a nightmare on paper. What are your thoughts on these terrifying weapons that have the power to erase humanity? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to keep exploring the hidden secrets of history, the wonders of the cosmos, and the greatest mysteries of science, make sure to hit that subscribe button to TerraVoy right now. Don't forget to leave a like and share this video with your friends. We'll see you in the next one.